Good afternoon. Welcome to the business meeting of the Mathematical Association of America at 2023 MAA MathFest. I'm Hortensia Soto, MAA President, and I am pleased to welcome you here. Sitting on stage with me is MAA Secretary Cindy Wiles and MAA Treasurer Alan Butler. So I hope that your experience here at MathFest has been a good one. I hope that the meeting represents one of the many MAA successes and provides opportunities to realize our values of communication, inclusivity, community, and teaching and learning, and I hope you've all experienced this. We want to acknowledge that some members are unable to attend the business meeting or the meeting. This meeting is informational as such. So all items shared here will appear in focus. Additionally, there will be an opportunity this fall for all of us to engage in a virtual conversation with the MAA leadership. And so I just want to make it clear that we're not voting on anything, we just want to share information with all of you. Later in this meeting, I will be sharing updates on the development of the MAA strategic plan and another item that we will be seeking additional feedback from all of our members, so please watch for that. Let's see, I think we're ready for, yep, we have that up. I can't see for some reason, but I think it has to do with my height. Earlier this year, the Board of Directors approved revised bylaws for the MAA. These bylaws arose from the work of 4 different task forces considering whether or not existing bylaws needed an update, then iteratively seeking input and proposing changes across a year's time. The changes are not as major as the changes embodied in the bylaws adopted by the MAA in 2017. Rather, they address challenges that could only be seen by working with the 2017 bylaws for a few years. An article discussing the proposed bylaws will appear in the August-September issue of MAA Focus. The MAA Congress grappled with these proposed bylaws during their annual meeting on August 1st, and input from this broadly representative body will be incorporated into the revised proposed bylaws that you will find on the MAA website displayed in the slides in that QR code. All MAA members will be asked to vote as to whether the association should adopt the proposed bylaws during the fall 2023 elections. We are all grateful to past President Jenny Quinn and others who spearheaded these efforts. We have time for questions regarding the bylaw changes, which Jenny or others can address. And so I'd really like to take time for that right now to see if there's any questions regarding the bylaws. And feel free to use a mic if you have any questions. Thanks, Eric. Or wait, I can't see. Yeah, okay. Any questions? Jenny, do you want to take the mic and say anything else about this? No? Okay.
So I'll just add that there will be a very modest change made, but it has not yet appeared online. And I will highlight it in a color other than yellow, so you'll know what the new change is.
Thank you for that, Jenny. Okay, so the MAA, as you know, engages in many outstanding programs that serve our members and the entire mathematical community, both virtually and in person. And our annual MAA Impact Report will appear shortly, and in fact, the communications team shared that with us recently, and recently it was sent out, but they shared it with us with the Congress this week. I forget what day it was, but we met this week and they shared it with us. I hope you'll take time to look through it. It's beautiful, and I really appreciate all the work. Thank you, Kamo. It provides an excellent overview of our programs and finances, which leads me to the fact that Alan Butler will now share some information on finances.
Thank you, Tensia. Although COVID no longer poses the threat it did in earlier years, the impact of COVID still had a major effect on the MAA in 2022. as you know, we mostly returned to in-person events, including a successful MathFest in Philadelphia. However, the lingering effects of COVID meant lower attendance than normal, which in turn meant the meeting's revenue was down. Meeting expenses, on the other hand, continue to rise. If you went out to one of these nearby restaurants thinking you were going to get an inexpensive meal, you found out otherwise. Participation in our various 2022 competitions, the AMC Math Olympiad, have not yet returned to pre-pandemic levels, but donor contributions that were directly earmarked for competition support resulted in a profitable year for competitions. Our membership revenue was down about 9%. As you may have seen in the 2022 impact report, the good news is that our total membership is up 12%. This is explained by the fact that the increase in total membership is primarily due to student members. We are working hard on finding ways to attract new members and to retain our current members. The development program continues to be successful thanks to the diligent efforts of our development team and the generosity of both individual and corporate donors. And our publications continue to be both critically and financially successful. When you put all this together, you get a slide that you probably can't read. But you know what you can do? You can go to the impact report and see this slide online and read everything. But I'll give you the important figures, and that is that our 2022 revenue was roughly $9.3 million, which was a 19.7% increase over 2021. Unfortunately, our expenses increased by 20.8% to roughly $9.6 million, resulting in a deficit of $240K for our operating budget. While we have plenty of reserves to cover this deficit, we experienced a significant loss in our investments due to the market downturn in 2022. Fortunately, our total reserves are still very healthy, with our 2022 year-end net assets standing at a little over $22 million. So overall, I'm happy to report that the MAA is in a strong financial position. Any questions? Good.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you for your work as treasurer. We all very much appreciate it. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to share a little bit about our strategic planning and the process that we're in and the stage where we're at, and the work that still remains to be done. So we have been engaged in strategic planning. We started in February, and we hired a consultant this year to really help us because we thought an outside lens would be better than an internal lens. And so we're very happy with the work that our consultant, Kara Parker has done. And as part of her work, she collected data by surveying members. We had about a 20% response rate, which is not surprising for surveys of this nature. She conducted focus groups, she conducted individual interviews, and she collected artifacts to assess the perceptions of our members. After this, she facilitated a full-day working retreat with the board, and we did that in May. And a culmination of these resources led to the following goals and objectives. So I hope that you can see this. And so the idea is we don't have the goals listed as like 4 separate categories because they very much are linked together and they inform one another. And so, for example, once we increase our engaged membership, this will help us then in terms of how are we going to resource allocations. It will inform how we develop leaders. It will inform how we strengthen community and vice versa. But in any case, the 4 goals are to strengthen community, leadership and talent, to develop leadership and talent, to increase engaged membership, so not just membership, but to ensure that our members are actually engaged in the association, and to really assess our resources. Where are we allocating our resources, and what do we need to let go of in order to do new things. And that's a big thing that we've been talking about, and we're really grateful to Russ for talking about subtraction instead of adding all the time. But that in order to add to the work that we're doing, that means we need to let go of some of the things that we have been doing, and that will require some thoughtful conversations. Congress has also devoted time to brainstorming tactics for carrying out each objective, and we spent about 90 minutes on this at the Congress meeting. And so the next steps are for a small working group consisting of myself, Michael, Kristen Morrison, Russ Goodman, I think he's here, and Stephanie Solomon, who's one of the Project Next leaders. So we are going to go through all of these tactics, put them in piles to see how they fit with the goals and objectives, and then bring that again back to the board. I'm sure that the small group will start to think about timelines. So we need to determine when do we hope to carry out this objective. And then the second thing is to determine metrics to ensure that we have really carried out the objective. So those are the things that are left to do to be done. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the strategic planning. Again, I'm glad there's no questions on that, just like Alan. So let's see, Cindy, your report.
So good afternoon. Excuse me. I'm going to talk a little bit about changes in who's fulfilling certain roles in our national governance structure. So 2 members of the MAA Board of Directors changed roles this February as Jenny Quinn moved into the past president position, while Hortensia Soto assumed the presidency. Russ Goodman was elected by Congress to become the board's at-large representative. We thank Emile Davy Lawrence for all her contributions during her term as the at-large representative. We're grateful to, We're grateful to these longtime members of the MAA you see on the slide before you for agreeing to stand for election to the offices listed. You will find their biographies and candidate statements and a list of the things they've done for the MAA, and these lists are long, in the August-September issue of the MAA Focus. We also thank the nominating committee of Jennifer Galovich, Gavin LaRose, Sue Doré, and Chair Jenny Quinn for the work of recruiting, interviewing, and recommending candidates to stand for election. I also want to thank, and have all of us thank, our outgoing section representatives to Congress. You see their names before you, as well as Susan Staples, who, as chair of the Council on Publications, was a member of Congress. So they have turned out. We thank them for their stalwart work and their guidance to the board and their liaison role back to the sections and others that they represent. Meanwhile, we welcome the newly elected members of Congress who began their terms this year. Font's a little smaller, I hope you can see it. But these members have already engaged in an all-day meeting on August 1st, sharing their thoughts and representing their sections and their constituencies. So their names are before you, and I pause. That's a list to read. Okay. So I wanted to put this slide before you to remind you what the kind of the overarching structure of our governance is. We have the 9-member board of directors. We have the Congress as a conduit between the sections and the members and other constituencies back to the board of directors. And then we have our committees and councils. Susan gave me a count of 99 committees yesterday. I think she's right, but I'm just going to say about 100 to be careful. But the chairs of the councils play critical roles in guiding the committees of each council and in identifying members and chairs to serve on the committees. This year, we have a new council. The MAA has elevated the former Committee on Sections to become a council, dispersing the charge of the former committee to separate committees within the council and identifying new charges that will benefit the sections and thus the MAA overall. We're grateful to the council chairs for all the work they do. And of course, our appreciation extends to the chairs and the members of the committees. Each year, we honor individuals and groups for activities that in some way shine a light on the values of the MAA. These awardees stand as exemplars of the work done around the country, and indeed around the world, by members of the MAA. I encourage you to consider who is doing exemplary work in your circles and to nominate those people for awards. In some cases, it may be as simple as suggesting that a publication award committee consider a particular article. In others, a nomination takes more work. Yet in nominating a colleague or a friend, you're letting them know that you see the value of their contributions. I suspect that most of the people here today in this room are already serving the MAA in several capacities. So let me ask that, in addition to considering nominating folks for MAA prizes, you also consider talking to your colleagues about serving on MAA committees and passing along their names and which committees you'd recommend them for. MAA service is a win-win. The association benefits, of course, but so does the individual whose perspectives and knowledge and maybe professional friend groups are broadened. And that concludes my report. Obligatory pause for questions? Pause for questions.
All right. I want to remind you, and I hope that you had an opportunity to help us celebrate him last night, that Dave Kong is finishing his term as the director of Project Next. So I want you to please help me once again to thank him for his years of service and dedication to the entire Project Next leadership team and the MAA. So please help me in thanking him again. We're grateful and appreciate you. Thank you, Dave. I also want to say that these meetings cannot take place without the dedication and skill of many volunteers and members of the staff. We acknowledge the staff in Washington, our Associate Secretary Nancy Newdower, and the volunteers who are responsible for the invited address, the named lectures, anyone who runs a mini course, contributed paper session, and invited paper session, as well as those who have just presented posters or talks. So please acknowledge the work of these people. And I want to just share that as of yesterday morning, we had 1,475 attendees at MathFest 2023, and I'm just really proud of that, so thank you. And so right now, what I would like to do is I just want to open it up to see if there's any questions from the association, whether it's any of us here on stage, Michael Pearson, or anyone else. We're happy to take questions. And we're also happy to hear comments. Really?
Thank you for all you've done. We're from Florida, appreciate it. Hear, hear.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Tampa has been extraordinarily wonderful to us. The convention center have just bent over backwards to help us. They let us know that they're meeting with other associations and to share our plan with them and everything that we have gone through, because they're asking the same questions that we were asking, and they feel that we are serving as a good model for other associations. So thank you for your patience with us this year. Thank you for your compassion. We appreciate you and your presence and all that you do. Thank you. All right. So I hope that you enjoy the remaining afternoon. We still have lots of things going on. We have the Martin Gardner Lecture. The HIMO awardees will be celebrating several wonderful people. We have some invited and contributed paper sessions, a panel, or anything that you're looking forward to, just spending some time chatting with friends, please do so. And I look forward to seeing you next summer in Indianapolis. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.